Hi, everybody. I hope you had a wonderful weekend and you are enjoying the month of October. I'll tell you guys, it is my favorite month. I love how beautiful it is outside right now with the leaves all changing color. I love that it's getting a little bit cooler. No more mosquitoes outside. I could start wearing my sweaters and my boots that I love to wear. And I also love Halloween, okay? And those of you at Brookside and Berkeley, you know Mrs. Eliason loves scary stuff. I love scary stories, scary movies. I do a witch cackle. Not doing it this week. You'll have to watch next week's video and then maybe I'll give you a witch cackle. Okay, but this week I'm going to show you one of my favorite scary stories, okay? And it's one, I think a lot of you are familiar with this story because they did make a book out of it. All right, so the story we're going to look at today is Coraline by Neil Gaiman. Now, go like this if you've seen the movie Coraline. Awesome. It is a great movie. I definitely recommend it if you like scary movies. However, I always say you should read the book also that the movie is based on. A lot of the times in movies, they change things and it's a little bit different, like the story will be different. And I definitely recommend, you know, the movie Coraline is great, but I also think you guys should definitely check out the book, okay, especially if you love scary stuff. Now, this story is about a girl named Coraline, and her family has just moved to this gigantic house in which the house has kind of been broken down into different apartments, okay? And there's some very odd people that live in the other apartments. But in Coraline's apartment, she discovers a door, and she thinks it goes to an empty apartment next to theirs. However, that door takes her to an entirely different world in which she sees her mother and father, but they're very, very different from her real mother and father. And in real life, Coraline's mother and father are a little bit, I would say, preoccupied. They're very concerned with their work and they're not paying a lot of attention to Coraline. So Coraline decides, hey, I'm going to do a little exploring. I'm going to check out this door over here. And she goes through the door, and that's where I'm going to start reading. Okay, so here she is going through the door. Coraline went through the door. She wondered what the empty flat would be like, if that was where the corridor led. Coraline walked down the corridor uneasily. There was something very familiar about it. The carpet beneath her feet was the same carpet they had in her flat. The wallpaper was the same wallpaper that they had. The picture hanging in the hall was the same that they had hanging in their hallway at home. She knew where she was. She was in her own home. She hadn't left. She shook her head, confused. She stared at the picture hanging on the wall. No, it wasn't exactly the same. The picture they had in their own hallway showed a boy in old-fashioned clothes staring at some bubbles. But now the expression on his face was different. He was looking at the bubbles as if he were planning to do something very nasty indeed to them. And there was something peculiar about his eyes. Coraline stared at his eyes, trying to figure out what exactly was different. She almost had it when someone said, "Coraline." It sounded like her mother. Coraline went into the kitchen where the voice had come from. A woman stood in the kitchen with her back to Coraline. She looked a little like Coraline's mother, only her skin was white as paper. Only she was taller and thinner. Only her fingers were too long and they never stopped moving, and her dark red fingernails were curved and sharp. "Coraline," the woman said, "is that you?" And then she turned around. Her eyes were big black buttons. "Lunchtime, Coraline," said the woman. "Who are you?" asked Coraline. "I'm your other mother," said the woman. "Go and tell your other father that lunch is ready." She opened the door of the oven. Suddenly, Coraline realized how hungry she was. It smelled wonderful. "Well, go on." Coraline went down the hall to where her father's study was. She opened the door. There was a man in there, sitting at the keyboard with his back to her. "Hello," said Coraline. She said to say that lunch is ready." The man turned around. His eyes were buttons, big and black and shiny. "Hello, Coraline," he said. "I'm starving." He got up and went with her into the kitchen. They sat at the kitchen table, and Coraline's other mother brought them lunch. A huge golden brown roasted chicken, fried potatoes, tiny green peas. Coraline shoveled the food into her mouth. It tasted wonderful. "We've been waiting for you for a long time," said Coraline's other father. "For me?" "Yes," said the other mother. "It wasn't the same here without you, but we knew you'd arrive one day, and then we could be a proper family. Would you like some more chicken?" It was the best chicken that Coraline had ever eaten. Her mother sometimes made chicken, but it was always out of packets or frozen, and it was very dry, and it never tasted like anything. When Coraline's father cooked chicken, he bought real chicken, but he did strange things to it, like stewing it in wine or stuffing it with prunes or baking it in a pastry, and Coraline would always refuse to touch it on principle. She took some more of this chicken. "I didn't know I had another mother," said Coraline cautiously. "Of course you do." "Everyone does," said the other mother, her black button eyes gleaming. All right, I'm not reading any more of this. All right, if you want to read the rest of Coraline, then you are going to have to read it yourself. And I do recommend the movie too. Okay, it's an excellent movie, but hey, I'm a librarian. Of course, I'm going to tell you guys, read the book. All right, so this is Coraline by Neil Gaiman, an excellent scary book, if you want a scary book. If not, I understand. All right, guys, have a wonderful, wonderful week. Bye.